Good morning, dear. Do you recognize those words? Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on April 2nd, 2021, the 65th anniversary of As the World Turns. 1 year ago today, I launched the Locher Room with a special As the World Turns episode featuring Martha Byrne, Kelly Menahan, Maura West, Don Hastings, and one of my guests today, Michael Park. I'm so grateful to every actor and guest that has said yes and has joined me over this past year. But it is truly Michael Park who I have to thank for suggesting I use this streaming platform for that very first episode I hosted. I had called Michael about 2 days prior to invite him to do an Instagram Live interview, and look how that turned out. 1 year later and 140 episodes, I thank you, Mr. Park, and I thank the fans for watching. And I think the fans watching would offer that same sentiment to you. Those of you watching today may know Michael Park for his Emmy Award-winning role as Jack Snyder on As the World Turns, but Michael is also known for dazzling Broadway audiences over the years. I've been lucky to see Michael in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Tuck Everlasting, and one of my absolute favorite shows, Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen opened on Broadway in December 2016 to rave reviews, to say the least. Michael, along with his two leading ladies here today, Rachel Bay Jones and Jennifer Laura Thompson, joined the show for the very first reading, I believe, back in 2014. In 2017, Dear Evan Hansen won the Tony Award for Best Musical, and Rachel Bay Jones won the Tony for Best Featured Actress in a Musical, and the entire cast won a Grammy Award for Best Musical Theater Album. Personally, when that soundtrack first came out, it was on repeat for me all the time. Both Michael and Jennifer remained with the show for over 1,000 performances, departing the roles they created in August of 2020. Jennifer, Rachel, and Michael all have incredible film, TV, and theater credits, and it is my honor to welcome them here to the Locher Room today. Please welcome Rachel Bay Jones, Jennifer Laura Thompson, and my friend Michael Park. Michael, here we go. Well, there we go, Michael.
I'm still here. I made it.
Hi, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. And Michael, really, thank you. I
got lucky, I guess, Alan.
Lucky.
Sometimes that happens. Same thing with the reading of Dear Evan Hansen. Just got lucky.
You got lucky. Hey, can you go back to, what was it, April of 2014, or it was 2014? Do you remember what happens in Broadway? Do they send you the book and ask you to come in for the reading?
No, I don't know what date it was. Ladies, can you clarify that? Was it 13 or 14? I thought it was 13.
It might have been 13. I think I was still doing Pippin.
Yeah, because I was.
And I was working at the same time that you were doing Pippin, so probably was.
I don't really know. Anyway, I know I was doing a 3-penny opera down at the Atlantic, which I don't think anyone should. What's that?
A 3-penny opera.
3-penny opera.
Not the A.
The other one.
Yes, it was, which no one should really feel compelled to ever try a production of 3-penny opera, but they did, and Michael Greif happened to see it. And invited me. I was at an opening for Violet or something like that. And he said, Mr. Park, I think there's something you'd be perfect for. We're doing a reading of it next week. Would you like to join us? And well, yeah, of course. Yes. When Michael Greif asks you just say yes. But we didn't get the script ahead of time. No, in fact, we were told not to read ahead when we did sit down at those tables. But yeah, so I had never worked with Jennifer before, although we crossed paths back in the day, I think. She says no. She says no. She says we didn't. And Rachel and I did a concert with our friend Randy Red once, didn't we?
Yeah. And so, I knew about you, but
yeah, I'd known both of these names, but I'd never really been in a room with them before, outside of Rachel, of course. But so then we sat down and we were all. I mean, I think it's safe to speak for all of us to say we were all blown away by this project.
It was incredible to read it cold, too. We didn't know what we were reading, anything about it. It was an untitled project, and we didn't know the roles we were playing. We just started reading and luckily stayed with it the whole time. So.
I mean, tears must come to your eyes just because that is, for that to just, come at you for the first time while you're doing it must have been an emotional ride, I would say, for all of you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, again, I'm not going to speak for any of these fantastic actors, but I know that when I left that room, I made a call to my agent and I said, "Whatever you do, clear the decks for Dear Evan Hansen. If they ask me back, just say yes. We'll figure out a way." Because I knew it was something special. You very rarely sit down and read something that was so sound so early. And if this was the first table read,
and written so beautifully that we were able to dive right in and really live the experience that we were reading on the page. It was happening as the words were forming. And I remember all of us were very emotional.
It was a unique story too, totally original. And that's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally original. Well, I can tell you there's a fan, Michael, who says, "Michael, Rachel, Jennifer, thank you for your roles in this show. I was bullied and still struggle with the effects of that long into adulthood. And now I see my son brutally bullied in high school. Dear Evan Hansen was a message of love and acceptance and being seen. Struggling with insecurity today, a message like you will be found and disappear are powerful assurances that we all matter."
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I hear that, we got a lot of letters, all of us over the years. We've gotten a lot of praise for spreading this message, and hearing you say that from this person watching it hits my heart the same way that it did every time we told that story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel for this person's child. I feel for this person, and it's unacceptable, and that we are all found.
Yeah. Did you all feel that strongly from that first reading that this was just something that was gonna?
I did. And Michael obviously called his agent.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we've said that so many times over the years that I look back and I think, am I rewriting my own history here? Oh yes, I knew right there. I really have been questioning myself, but we really kind of did. We all looked around the room. We were all in love with each other, and we were in love with this piece. And like Michael said, like every time there was another reading and they would say, "Hey, we're going to do another reading, or we're going to do a workshop, or we're going to do a whatever." Every time I got called for that, I was like, "Yes." We still, like it was.
You that trickled away, and we are.
Please keep me.
Well, because so many people were. I mean, some of the young cast. I mean, we couldn't get. We couldn't age out of the roles. But I mean, it was
not yet.
Not yet.
But some of these young kids kind of aged out of the roles as the story was told over and over again, and or they wanted a different feel for it. And I think we were so lucky, and we're all parents, so we all felt what it's like to go through these little experiences, or big experiences as they are. I think we were able to hit on some of those notes that they had envisioned hitting. So I consider myself extremely fortunate for staying with it for each incantation. It was wonderful. And they didn't change, they changed a lot of the parents' stuff. I mean, I can speak for Jennifer that they did change a lot of our stuff, but from they never, I was lucky, and Jennifer knows how lucky I am that I was able to hold on to my that song in the second act. And I always felt very, very grateful for that. But
Jen had like a gorgeous
yes.
Gorgeous
oh my gosh, it remains my favorite. Bedroom down the hall. Yeah, in the bedroom down the hall. It's my favorite. It made me cry every single time.
Yeah. But didn't you have a solo too?
Yeah.
I did, but it wasn't it was a beautiful song, but when you're writing a musical, you can't have a standalone beautiful song that doesn't also progress the story in some way, or the storytelling.
So there's a song for you, Jennifer. There was a song
that was cut, I think, within a week of its introduction.
Oh.
But it made sense. It was beautiful, but it just kind of stopped the action. And so you can't have that in a 2.5 hour or 2 hour show.
But didn't you guys have another duet
We had
Didn't you guys-
Bedroom Down the Hall. Yeah. Was
But
that
even after Bedroom Down the Hall, was there another one? No.
Well, we had
It's Raining Men. It's Raining Men.
Oh my God, Michael. So when I asked Michael
that.
to do this, when I asked Michael to do this, I told Rachel and Jennifer he wanted to have some fun, and I can tell from being backstage with these two ladies that he picked the perfect pair. How did this help you parent differently?
Oof.
All of us? Are you asking
For
that
me,
to anyone?
Yeah, all of us. I
magnified
mean,
everything
you all
else that I
have
might have-
you all
Yeah.
have children.
magnifies all my worst fears and also taught me how to manage them.
Mhm.
Keep an open dialogue at all times, despite how closed off your child may seem. Just always keep an open dialogue.
Mhm.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we were, with this Broadway schedule, we're working 8 shows a week, 6 days a week. And so the conversations that you did have, I mean, while this was going on, I mean, we were all very hands-on parents, and we're all, we have great relationships with our kids. All of us do. And so being out of the house that, many nights over and over and over again, it got harder to communicate with them because we were not in the same room. We were FaceTiming, and we were solving problems on FaceTime, and we were solving problems on the fly and leaving so much up to our partners. And so
blaming parents that
Yeah.
were not able, that through, like, because they didn't communicate well with their kids for whatever reason, like these were the roles that we were playing.
Right.
That whether like Heidi wasn't home enough and they didn't talk enough to their, and our kids were, and our real life kids were all around this age or just coming into this age range through the course of our involvement with the show. So we were like, oh no, like seeing the future, like this is what happens. But at the same time, we were so involved with the show that we weren't able, like Michael said, to really communicate as we wanted to with our kids.
Yeah, no, I didn't really, didn't hit home until I left the show for about a year. You know what I mean? Yeah. It didn't really dawn on me that I was answering questions and helping kids out and parents out while I was doing the show, and not realizing that I was neglecting my own, I in a way neglecting my own kids at home by not being home all the time. So
Right.
it was tough to continue to foster those relationships. But at the end of the day, it did open a lot of conversations. And I know this show opened a lot of conversations across the country.
Yeah.
And for anybody who saw the show. So that happened for all, I would say that happened for all of us while the show was going on, but even more so now that it's, shined a light on the fact that I too was not around for 3 years. And not only that, how long did we spend in Washington away from our people?
2.5 months.
Yeah, that was a whole summer.
Yeah, we developed the show out of town, and then there was an off-Broadway run, and there were, all of these things, Alan. So it was like years of involvement with the show.
Yeah,
so much
I mean,
fun.
that's why when I read from 2014 until, for Michael and Jennifer leaving, in 2020 sounds like such a long time.
Yeah,
2019 for
2019.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not 2020. 2020 there was no
right.
We don't count that year exactly.
Wow.
Another fan, Michelle from the UK, says thank you so much for being here in the soundtrack. Music is so powerful and helpful and helps so much. It really, you can tell with this show how much the music really did help. I don't know that that's with every show as powerful, but you can see it when you see people's reaction. Do you agree on that?
I agree. I think also because it's contemporary and they're contemporary folks dealing with contemporary issues, the people who are seeing the show relate so specifically to it. It's, there's nothing that's obtuse about it. It's just literally seeing themselves on stage or seeing someone they know on stage. Or I thought often about when I was a teenager, what music meant to me. And I always gravitated towards really sad songs. And they weren't necessarily sad. They just had a
tinge of sadness.
Yeah, they had some sort of and it made me feel better in some sort of way. There was like I was relating to somebody who was feeling the same thing as I was. And I think that that's what sort of rings true for a lot.
Who'd you listen to?
Pet Shop Boys. Milli Vanilli.
I mean, I listened to a lot of goth music, a lot of alternative music, but most of it was not like the thrashy sort of guitar or like, you know, thrash driven stuff. It was always the melancholy, This Mortal Coil. Have you ever heard of that? Dead Can Dance, which is very, very, Cocteau Twins, The Cure, the Smiths.
I just can't picture it. I can't. I mean, you
dyed her hair black. Didn't you dye your hair
Yeah.
black? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was black and short, and then one time it was asymmetrical. Like, wait.
Oh, one of those. Yeah. Oh my God, great.
Jennifer's famous for her backstage post wig photos, selfies.
Turned around or something.
Classic. It's just
No,
classic
it never came
stuff.
out from under the wig at the end.
I love that. So who or what influenced you all on becoming actors? Rachel, you want to go first?
Sure. My parents had been actors, so they met in the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, and they, you know, it was like they ended up leaving the business and then kind of going back to it when I was in middle school, and so I was exposed always to like the honor of acting and the responsibility of being an actor, and you know, and so it's interesting because Dear Evan Hansen was like, yet I loved musical theater, and a lot of musical theater is like, and it didn't sort of jive with what was going on inside of me, you know, the importance of being an actor. So it was like, tomorrow I will. When shows like Dear Evan Hansen come along, where like Jen said, you know, it's like really real things, important things, and popular music in some way, you know, a sound that we want to listen to, that kids want to listen to, that their parents can bring them to and be like, they can say this is cool, and they're, you know, and the mom can sit there with them and be like, this is cool. Yeah, they can connect on that level. That was awesome. But yeah, so it was my parents mostly.
Parents, yeah. And Rachel? Oh, sorry, Jennifer.
Well, I'll tell you again.
Sorry, brain fart.
That's a good story. Oh gosh, I'm gonna say actually it was music, because I did my first musical in high school. I'd never even thought about acting at that point, really, as a skill or a career or something I wanted to do. But the fact that I could sing and act at the same time and dance even was thrilling for me. So it was like about 14, 15 years old that I thought, oh, and that was my bridge. It was musicals that were my bridge into acting.
And Michael, you started going to Nazareth for architecture. Is that true?
Yeah, I said that to make myself sound smart. I went for computer graphics and graphic design at the end of the day, and my mother was always very involved in music, and she and her sister had a group. They used to sing covers. The name of their group was Nice and Easy. And they sang at the Colonial Inn in Canandaigua on Saturday nights and Friday nights. And so I used to go and sing, like, I write the songs, some Barry Manilow tune.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't until college, really, that my wife, Lori, forced me to audition for Guys and Dolls. And that's when I kind of got the bite for, or the fever for doing this. And then as soon as school ended, I started doing community theater, and I really learned the like what Rachel was saying, the etiquette of how to, act backstage, and I got to see how it was done more professionally, and that
explains a lot.
But then, but it helped me. They really fostered a lot of the talent, and I was inspired by so many of them because they were just so great, and they had their day jobs, and then they'd come and do this at night. And I was amazed by all of that. And I was thinking, that's really cool. And then when I finally was cast in in a regional theater show. I remember, and my mother, I was reminding her yesterday, I remember calling her saying, I'm getting paid for this now.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid for this. And so I thought that was really a lot of fun. And it kind of, the business kind of chose me in a way, and it doesn't happen like that for everybody. And I really understand that. But
as a fan just said, Brittany says, thank you, Lori. I didn't realize Lori was cheering you on from the get-go.
Yeah, I didn't know that story
really
either.
What'd you say, Rachel?
I didn't know that story either.
Oh, is that right? But it was really, I attribute most of it to, her forcing me to audition for this musical, where I swear to God, I was trying to talk her out of dragging me there, but it worked. And here I am. And I didn't realize really at the time how important networking is and knowing people, because it was, these wonderful musical directors and directors that were involved in community theater in town in Rochester, New York, that kind of remembered me and said, hey, who'd be good for this guy. And so that was really it. I was so lucky.
When did you all realize that you had that voice inside you that you could?
I think you just know it, right? I mean, it was like,
which one of the voices are we?
She did play Diana in Next to Normal. She's got a lot of voices.
Oh yeah, that is another favorite show of mine, Rachel, Next to Normal. Wow, what a role that must have been for you.
She was incredible in it. Oh my God.
Yeah, I always hear that though, and I'm like, well, shit. You were born to play this. Insane.
That's a scary thing to hear. Do you know? Was there a moment?
I feel like for me it was never a self-driven, I was meant to do this. This is the only thing I want to do. It was always me saying, I'm going to give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to go do this. I always had a plan B. So like I moved.
What was your plan B?
Yeah, I want to know.
Even when I auditioned for the University of Michigan, which I got my BFA in musical theater from, but I got in there on early admission because I auditioned with the intention, very, very happy that I got into the musical theater program because I was already in love with that program there. It was very strong. But I wanted to either switch to architecture, Michael, or double major, which I found to be impossible once I was stuck in this sort of conservatory-esque style learning environment, which I loved. So I stuck with the musical theater. But then again, our program was so small at the time. It was like, 1926 or something like that. And
wait, what? 1920s? No.
Yeah, that's when I.
It sounds like back in 1926. It was very small.
I graduated in 1926.
She said it with a straight face.
It's like this architectural firm of Parky and Jen. You know what happened, don't you?
That's right.
I do stairs.
I do stairs.
That's my specialty.
Thompson Park Architects.
It could be dentistry too.
It could be a dentistry.
Both of us would sit.
Realty.
We'd have tables. We'd have desks that butt up against each other. We just sit there and stare at each other.
Can I be your secretary?
Yeah.
As long as you use like a real typewriter.
Oh, a Selectra, IBM Selectra.
And chew gum.
And drink
Drink coffee, Miss.
all day long.
One of the fans, Denise, asked, did you guys, she was asking to Michael, but then to both you ladies, did you have any input, Michael, into the Break the Glove number? And ladies, did you have any input in the creation of the show for Dear Evan?
We all did.
Yeah.
Michael, you should answer first.
Well, no, that scene didn't change much. I mean, they just added the baseballs, and they were going to add baseball cards or something like that. But that scene didn't change much from the reading, if you recall. I mean, that stayed pretty solid and always in Act 2, the beginning of Act 2. But yeah, we it was a very creative atmosphere that they had starting in the workshops for sure, but the ladies had more to do with that, and Rachel definitely with her incredible arc that she had. That had to, you put a lot into that. I know, Rachel, right?
But is it what you're saying is it was a collaborative effort, meaning that they allowed your input. Does that always happen?
To a certain extent, yes, always.
Okay.
Because you're,
With varying degrees of receptivity.
There, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they heard what we said.
Right. We can talk like we're like, listen, you've got to do this thing. No, shut up, Rachel. And then we quietly go off to the corner and
normally you'd get, yes, that sounds like a good idea.
All right.
That's it.
Interesting.
But the principal scene didn't change much, Jen, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were some internal things in Act One.
I nailed that on the first day. So
Didn't need to change. She was perfect.
Talk about having to go from 0 to 100 in the fourth scene of the first act. Having to just sit there and cry nonstop. It had to be just brutal every night. So I wasn't jealous of that at all.
Yeah, that was when they first were seen by the audience, right?
It was
really.
just the opening to show that Connor's
right.
still
No,
alive.
yeah.
School, anybody got a map, but then, yeah.
And the first real scene that they had was like,
I've chosen.
yeah, it's incredible, and they had to do that.
Spoiler alert.
Oh.
Rachel, working for you, with Ben Platt. I mean, how old was he when he started that? Do you know about?
Was he 20 with you guys? Was he younger? 20.
He was 20 because remember he had his 21st birthday. He had that big birthday party. Remember?
Right.
So I think he was.
I was lucky. I had seen it while he was in it. I mean, playing opposite him. What was that? The two of you, mother and son. But I mean, somebody so young with clearly quite a bit of talent had to be fun to watch and just amazing in itself, I would think.
Yeah, it was. We all fell in love with him right away, of course, and like everybody else did, and just like, I don't know, it was very, it just, the whole process felt really natural. And, in the development of it, it was really beautiful. So
he was always very inclusive, in everything he did as well. So it wasn't like he was being selfish at all on stage or off. I mean, he was just a pleasure to be around. And like we said way before, a bit ago, when we were in Washington, we were truly like eating together every night, and we only had each other. So it was like the 8 of us just hanging out with the creatives. And so we got really, really tight with them. And it didn't hit me until well into our run on Broadway that, that's not going to happen. They're not going to be around here all the time anymore. And it was
really fun. It was really good.
It was a lot of fun. And that's when a lot of those conversations, those hard conversations, as well as the really simple and lovely, beautiful conversations, were never going to happen again. And Michael Greif was around all the time giving notes nonstop. But I mean, it was, and I loved it. But at the same time, Patrick and Paul were doing 17 different shows at the same time,
But it was great when we were developing the show, and what he's referencing is we all went out of town to the arena stage in Washington and developed it. Yeah. We were all living together, working together, playing together. Parky would go with Mike Feist and go get bushels of crabs from down by the harbor and bring them back and like spill them out on the table, and we would all sit and make a mess and talk about the show and talk, so it was.
It's almost like a college production, even though it wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like a summer stock in that sense.
Right.
We all ate together. We barbecued together. We just were all together. We all had drinks after the show together. I mean, it was just, we were together all the time. Well, there was only one bar to go to. So, we were,
together.
We were just together all the time. We lived in the same condo complex. It was just, we were just there.
Well, another fan, Jessica, just said, so thankful the powers that be knew that this story needed each one of you and the unique special talents and perspective you all brought to it. Grateful for each of you.
Thank you.
I mean, not only just, fans here, but you had celebrity fans from coming. People just fell in love with this show. Were there people you were starstruck yourself meeting backstage?
I
Yeah.
mean, almost every night of the week for the first
Yeah.
year. There was somebody.
Who
that did the
each one of you throw out one name that was
oh my
amazing.
goodness. Carol Burnett.
Carol Burnett, yeah, Carol Burnett.
She was super easy to talk to, though. I must
She
say.
was delicious.
Yeah.
I got to interview her for this, but on the telephone. We did a phone interview, and I played it for a tribute because she was a big soap opera fan. And I got the phone call, and it was, "Hi, Alan, it's Carol." Yeah.
Dead.
Dead. Oh, I can imagine in person.
Didn't she do a parody? Didn't she do a parody of As the World Turns?
She used to do As the Stomach Turns during, yeah, she did. But that, Michael, she was a huge All My Children fan, and because she couldn't watch All My Children, she used As the Stomach Turns to ask people in the audience what happened that day on All My Children. There were no DVRs back then. No, she couldn't tape her show.
So funny.
So funny. Speaking of As the World Turns, Michael, what do you remember auditioning in 1997?
Oh, good Lord. I can't remember that far back. I remember I first auditioned for Paul Ryan, right? And I was on hold for about a month, and they didn't pick me. And so the second time I went in, it was a lot easier. Clearly, it was this Jack Snyder. It was this distant cousin of Holden and Lily. And I remember it was so much easier to step in the room that time because I knew what to expect. And so with, every time you clear a hurdle, those hurdles get easier to clear because nothing's taking you by surprise. And so when I remember auditioning, and it was Larry
Carpenter.
Larry Carpenter was directing, and it was with Kelly Minahan. It wasn't with Maura this time. And Kelly doesn't remember the audition. Clearly, I mean,
You made it.
but, right?
I do not remember.
But I remember not giving a damn about it and just going in and just doing my thing. And maybe that was it. Maybe it was just the confidence level. So with every audition anyone has in their life, confidence is key. Confidence is key into knowing the material, into stepping in and knowing who you are. So it's really easy to explain or to translate those things to the people who are going to be casting you. Because if one of the biggest hurdles is finding out who you are and being your honest, true self, right? And so when you get in the room and you're being that person, then there's, you can defend every choice you make because it's you making those choices. So I don't know if that's accurate to say, Jen. That's pretty accurate, right?
Or if you're like me and you don't know who you are for like the first 48 years of your life. See how it goes,
Man. There's so many questions when you walk into audition rooms sometimes that's like, gosh, am I making the right choices? Or am I doing this? If you're just authentically yourself, then, screw it.
So did you get the part auditioning with Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember that.
I got a call on the phone that day. So now when I audition for television shows and there's not a message on my machine or a call from my agent, I get worried. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
I'm like 3 weeks later. I'm like, still waiting.
Yeah.
3 months later.
You
It's so positive. It's like, it's gonna happen.
Well, Rachel, didn't you just do a show with Mike Feist down in Texas?
Yeah, we did they're going to release it, I think, in May. It's an Amazon series.
Panic?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
Oh, great.
What's it about? Can you?
I know.
It's about a group of kids mostly and residents of this small town where there's a kind of a game that the teenagers play that is maybe not such a great thing for them. That's all I can say. There's probably a much better logline that I could have recited.
Well, what was it? You got to be in Modern Family in the last season, right? Playing Dylan's mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was amazing. It was really fun to do a comedy and such a show that's been around forever. That was really fun and a great character, really airy
Were
fairy.
were you a fan of Modern Family?
Of course. And then, when my first day of work, I got to go, Farrah, the character's name is Farrah, and she goes in and greets everybody with a full kiss on the lips. And that was really fun. That was fun to be introduced to the cast that way.
Good thing it was pre-COVID. Right?
Well, it's about the residuals now. Those residuals have to be amazing.
Lord.
And it will play over and over and over and over.
We watch it every night.
Yeah,
every night.
So do we. Michael, can you talk about the best part of Maura West as an acting partner?
She just pushed you to be better, and her choices were so amazing, and they kind of went outside of what I was thinking when I'm looking at a script and I'm memorizing the script and I'm memorizing these lines. I'm memorizing them. I learned after a while to just memorize the words, because the intent will come when, of course, I'm going to hear Maura kind of challenge Jack, or when Carly challenges Jack. It's just going to come to life in a different way, and it always did. She was just she's an incredible professional, and so I was really, really lucky to be a part of that quote unquote super couple, because I have no idea how I got there or why I ever moved to New York to do this as a profession, but to have these people kind of nurture this creativity in you was something that, I really
weren't Larry and Cynthia a super couple?
I was gonna say you're lucky.
You
again, Jennifer challenges you in a different way too, because it got to the point where we were all so freaking depressed backstage.
No.
Well, no. Trying to do, we had to get into this place in the fourth scene where, we're internal. I'm speaking for myself. I was internalizing so much and trying to, be as real as I can with the whole thing and try to I didn't have a technique to fall back on, really, because I didn't learn any. And then finally we none. So I still don't have any. But
you're teaching now, aren't you?
Look out, kids. Look out.
But the great thing was that Jennifer and Rachel and I, we would just laugh and laugh until we cried, and then had to go and be heartbreaking on stage. And it was kind of a great equalizer, thankfully, for these two wonderful actors that we had. We had a fun time backstage, and we were able to just cackle.
Well, I would think that cackling is needed. I couldn't even. I know how I felt watching after just seeing it once. I can't imagine being. And also, you're also in it in your role, but I think you must be feeling that emotion from the audience too. That just I can imagine that the laughter must be the light that helps you really.
Yeah.
There's a level of self-preservation that goes into doing a long run like that. You have to find something that will not lock you into the dark depths of what you have to deal with every night.
Right. Your Broadway debut, if I got it right, is Footloose. It's a lot different than that, right?
But I lost my brother in Footloose.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I was.
What was that experience? Were you? I assume you were a fan of the movie.
I was a fan of the movie, but it was a big show, and at that point, movies were not commonly turned into musicals. They were kind of poo-pooed upon. We were made fun of because they can't turn a movie into a musical, and now what? Every other movie or every other show, and it felt so overwhelming. Because the entity existed. I was recreating. I wasn't creating, and I was in the shadow of this huge hit of a movie. So I wanted to do it justice, and I also wanted to bring my own talent to the table. So it was in retrospect very, very overwhelming and scary, and I learned a lot, and look back with great fond memories. But it was.
Were you a good dancer prior to ?
I thought I was.
because I can imagine like that one's a, you know.
Still do a head roll. No, the truth, I literally thought I was. When I came to New York, I'd done so much study of dance, pre-college, but especially in college, because they make you try to be a triple threat, no matter what. And so I thought I was a good dancer until I came to New York, and I'd go to a dance call, and I was like, whoa, I'm an actor who moves. Like, so, but I did have to dance, but not like the dancers who dance. They literally broke their backs to do the flip-flops and literally the flips and the acrobatics. And I just
One of our fans just asked, anybody have a 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
He came to the show. I mean,
hey, that's great.
Right there.
That's great. You know, I was curious. Not a show you were in, but do you each have a favorite musical?
That's such a hard question for me.
Whatever musical I'm in is
Yeah.
my favorite musical. I
I
would
don't
love to
have
do.
one.
I don't really have one either. And Into the Woods comes to mind as one of my favorite soundtracks. Broadway cast albums to listen to. Sweeney Todd. I'd love to do that someday. That might be great.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite that you'd love to do someday? Rachel and Jennifer?
Well, I saw Michael Greif recently, and I mentioned to him that I wanted to reprise Grey Gardens as the older version of Edie, because I played the younger version of Edie in the workshop. And he said, if you thought Dear Evan Hansen was going to make you go crazy, you were asking for it. He was really asking for it. I was like,
I can help.
Like, no, regionally, 2.5 months, and that's it.
You need to have a psychiatrist next to you for that show.
Apparently.
Wow.
Different issues, though. It could have
Yeah.
a whole new slew of things.
Yeah, that
And
was good, Jen.
for you, Rachel?
I don't know. It's always a hard question for me. I can't think of anything. And then then somebody will be like, what about this? I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Let's do it. I can't really think. I felt that way about Next to Normal. That was something I always wanted to do. And that was weirdly.
Had you seen the original when it was on Broadway?
Yeah. I did. And I sat in the balcony, and they had to ask me to leave. I was leaving so hard for so long that the ushers were cleaning the theater, and they were like, you gotta go now. I was like, no. Just wanted to hold on to just the incredibleness of that, just that a story like that could be told in a musical then was a different thing. That was really, really rare. And
that was one of the first. I mean, it sort of staging wise reminds me of Dear Evan a little, just kind of that stage, but yeah, I think so too. Like you hadn't seen
again, like what people responded to about Dear Evan Hansen. And for those of you who don't know what Next to Normal is, it's about a woman with mental illness, basically, and it's about mental illness and grief and a middle-aged woman who has all of this pent-up rage and grief and things, and to make a musical about that back when it came out, it was like, what? This is a thing? People will pay to see this, and it'll win these awards, and people will go nuts for it. It was like, oh my God, the world is ready to accept me in a way that, not that I'm crazy, but the world is ready to accept, like those of us who are not like perfect in a little box, those of us who are trying to get out, we're allowed to show our warts a little bit,
and that show is so well cast that when I saw it on Broadway.
Well, listen, it was also fun to work with Michael in a different light, because he was reprising that
when
show.
he did it.
And so he was like, guys, play. Do whatever you want. At the end of the day, he took a lot of the stuff away. He wanted us to do, but it was really great to for him to kind of like re-envision the show in a way.
He's seeing it again too, so he's a very beautiful director in that way. Really, really allows you to explore. For sure.
What makes a great director on stage?
respect for the actor is a big one for me. We're not pawns, that they respect what we do, and are articulate and not outspoken, but open to talking about the process.
And truly collaborative, not just letting you run wild, but working with you, like on a shared vision of the thing. That those who understand that you bring something, that everyone brings a piece that will elevate the whole. So that to me is key.
Michael?
They said it already. I mean, it's
okay.
Michael means to say.
Michael means to say.
No, she said someone who's collaborative, someone who allows you to play within the box that you're given, and then not afraid to change things, not afraid to, and it's someone who's inclusionary and continues to be after the fact. Now, Michael Greif, I bring Michael Greif up again because even after we opened, usually a show is frozen and you're not supposed to, you don't really come and give notes. but I appreciated that because, doing a long run, I've never been in a show for 3 years. I've never done a show. And so some moments can be lost, and it's great to be reminded of where those lost moments are. And he was always really wonderful about communicating, and I love the fact that I could tell that he loved the show.
He loved it.
Yeah. Any director really who loves the show but is not blind at the same time. And who's not just creating stage pictures, because we've all had some directors like that.
So usually, Michael, when you said it's locked, like at some point when the show opens, it's locked. Is that what you mean? Like it's.
Well, the term, Ellen, is frozen. That's what I was when a show is frozen, they're meaning they're not making any more drastic changes.
Gotcha.
Like usually in the last week of previews, when press starts coming, then your show is frozen, and that's the show they're going to stick with.
But do it that way, and then for the next however long it runs, you're supposed to do it that way. But what he was referencing is that Michael Greif, our director, would come back, weekly for the entire run and still make sure that everything was good. And if you had new ideas or whatever, he would still consider them. It wasn't, completely like, I'm doing exactly what I thought I wanted to do.
See, we needed each other, Alan. See, I would say things and Rachel would translate what I said. It's a good thing. I need you.
Rachel, which show was your Broadway debut?
Meet Me in St. Louis in 1989.
And what do you remember about that? Stepping on a Broadway stage for the first time.
It was very different than I thought it was going to be. It was a big spectacle show in a time when there weren't that many spectacle shows. It was huge. It was in the same theater that Wicked is right now, which is one of the largest, if not the largest.
How many people in the cast?
I think 40 or something crazy like that. It was bonkers. And we had an ice rink that rolled out during the intermission when everyone went ice skating at the top of the second act. Those who could, we had an ice skating audition, which I apparently flunked because I was standing around the ice rink.
They didn't want you on your backside.
I thought I could ice skate before.
Oh my god!
So it was, and there was a trolley, like a huge trolley on the stage that would go spinning around, and the woman who was singing trolley song, Donna, would be at the front of the trolley, like spinning and like trying to keep her face to the front of the audience while she's singing this big thing, and we would be dancing around in autumnal dresses, like going ooh. So it was very different. It was very old school musical theater. It felt like an MGM musical,
Oh.
So it was very, like I told you before, it was not really suited to my deep aesthetic of
Definitely.
I miss you guys.
And Jennifer,
I
you
think we
played.
used to do planks on waiting to go on for your big serious. We used to do planks on the side of the stage. We still have plank contests
Yes.
on the side of the
Yeah.
stage to
And my
get you in the mood for.
Would he win?
No.
No. He could do push-ups than everybody though.
Well, I had to work out. I was sitting around all day playing video games and everything else. I had to do something active.
You played video games there too, just like at World Turns?
Sure
Please
did.
don't out me, Alan. Don't out me.
Jennifer, what was it like playing Glinda?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It was thrilling and also terrifying, I guess is the universal word. Because when I started, my son was 6 months old, so I was still nursing him.
Wow.
So I was emaciated because the role was enormous and the physical demands were a lot, and the costume changes were like, I mean, I was cursing Kristen Chenoweth left and right because she was like had an earring painted every second. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Nobody can say that in this theater. Like, but it was really fun to
really,
see.
the shows you've all been in, the music.
It was
Next
fun.
to Normal,
So fun.
Wicked, Dear Evan, the music of those shows I could listen to over and over and over. And I know Rachel has to leave right on the hour. Do you want to watch some bloopers of Michael Park while we're here?
Yes. You will never hear the end of it.
Said that Vienna had no problem resisting him.
Like waving a white cap if like waving a what?
So any luck finding the runaway groom?
Yeah.
Terry, what are you doing? Terry.
Terry.
And we're gonna go back to the farm?
No, I want you to stay here. Now that the stores are opening, you can question the shopkeepers to see if Henry. Shit.
And we bought the farm?
What's my line? I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
Stand by.
Oh. Oh, Michael. Oh.
Yeah, I understand that you're mad at your brother, but you can't avoid him forever.
Well, how about just for tonight?
I said the wrong line and you went with it.
Keep going.
Stand by.
Stand by. I don't have my thing in. My Bluetooth. Security. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Stand by.
On.
Action.
I want
Oh,
it
Jesus.
just as much as you want your son back.
I tried to hold it.
Oh, it's a good try.
The key! The key that's in the music box. Snyder, let me tell you something.
Well,
Your source's story about the jagged edge checks out.
so what now?
We're going to Branson. We're going to go to Branson. We're going to Branson. You and me, Carly.
How did you have fun?
I'm Jack's doppelganger. So we can go to Idaho. Go anywhere you want. No, I'm fixing time.
Stand
And I'm gonna
by.
give him a little kiss. All right.
Stand by.
Not everyone.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Michael.
We did
So-
a show a day, guys. It was like 60 pages of dialogue a day. It was nuts.
Well, I was just thinking what you were saying about how your show is locked in. Like, with World Turns, you actually learn your 40 pages and might have to cut 10 pages before,
On the
you
fly.
go up on the fly, which
Yeah.
is,
Or had to add stuff. That was my favorite thing when we had to
Right.
add like an extra monologue someplace. It's like, we're short. Can you put this in? Just take 15 minutes, take a look at it, and we're gonna shoot it in 15. I'm like, what? And it was like wedding vows. So like these dream wedding vows, and we had to. It was a whole page monologue for each of us Those were the great things to try to overcome, though. I gotta say,
Did they have cue cards and things?
No.
Like you always see, like
never.
they didn't have like. Somebody
No, but I did an episode of Bull recently, and I'm like, "What are those? Oh, those are cue cards." I said, "You guys use cue cards on this show?" Yeah, I just doxed Bull on CBS. I think Monday nights. But all the legalese that they have to spew, it's just, it's got to be a crazy sometimes. And they're also making changes on the fly. And these guys, they're getting paid for it. But I mean, they're working hard over there. And so sometimes, I guess, maybe I should.
Rachel and Jennifer, were you ever soap opera watchers?
No, everybody I knew was, but
Yeah.
for some reason I wanted to dig dirt and, pull up worms and go fishing instead.
So what's been your guilty pleasures during the pandemic?
What that
was that last week? Sorry. Go ahead. She's been digging worms.
I have them right here.
She's going to get them. She's going to get them. What would you say you learned about yourselves during the pandemic that you didn't already know?
I hate myself.
Oh. I don't know that I like doing readings on Zoom. I do. I don't like having to drive into the city to
Oh, yeah.
and get, but I really did love doing these readings and working things out and going through scripts with casts on Zoom. I thought that was really convenient. That's one thing that I learned.
I'm
Rachel?
a great cook. I always knew that, but I'm an even better cook than I thought.
Nice.
Yeah, but Rachel, you go now. I have more to say, but go ahead.
No, I would. I'd be like, I've been FaceTiming Jen a lot, and I'd be like, "What are you making today?"
Can I taste it?
Let me taste the butter chicken.
Okay, I have a better question for all of you. What would fans watching be surprised to know about somebody here that they don't know that you can share? That's rated PG.
All rated PG.
About the other two?
Yeah, one or the other.
Yes.
What would fans be surprised?
Well, Jen really loves miniatures. She collects small things. She collects little tiny things like little.
Jen also, if you're throwing a party, be ready for a bag of wigs to be coming with Jen.
Oh, fun.
She brings wigs, and everybody has a wig. She buys wigs for everybody. What do we got, Jen?
Oh, that's a great way to turn the party up.
This is a French plate. See,
Oh,
I
wow,
actually bought the real thing in France. I forget the name of it, but
You
in the northwest of France, it was $22.
It was $22.
For this
You spent $22 on that thing?
That is. I love she went to get show and tell. Go get a wig if you got a wig.
She's coming back with a clown mask. Don't ask. She'd also, you know what? If you're going, oh, here we go. Don't go into a dark room alone around with Jennifer Laura Thompson in the building. Don't go into a dark room alone.
Especially if you're scared, because she'll
she'll just be sitting there with a clown mask on, waiting for you to turn on a light.
Oh God.
She knows I'm afraid of sharks, but I'm a little obsessed with sharks, and so she showed up at my dressing room door in a full shark outfit.
I did.
She's a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun.
Michael, you were not kidding. These ladies are the best. The best.
You're welcome, Alan.
Yes, the best. Mikey, I was going to ask you, because you've been in your shows, you've worked with Daniel Radcliffe and the Jonas Brothers. What is that like for your kids?
Oh, you know, it is what it. I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
it must be exciting for them a little.
It is. It's really exciting for them, and you know, I was living vicariously through their excitement of all of this, and for sure. And I must say, I actively, I remember choosing not to do a workshop of Book of Mormon to do How to Succeed in Business because of Daniel. I remember making that choice, and because my kids would have just loved the fact that I was going to be doing this with Daniel. So, yeah, that was definitely one of the reasons why the catalyst to the choice there. This one with Ben hadn't blown up yet, but Ben was blowing up before their eyes. So it was really interesting to see them form these relationships with Ben. I mean, all of our kids, I mean, forming these relationships with other people. And I know that Rachel's daughter and my daughters kind of, you know, got along really well too. And so it was really fun to have that kind of familial kind of thing happening at the same time. Even with the Laura Dreyfus and my daughters, they really looked up to Laura Dreyfus. So it was just fun to have those influences around my kids.
That's awesome. Really, I can't thank you all enough for this was the best way to celebrate, to laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. It really, you know, it really, really is. Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you for being here. Good luck, Rachel, with your
I'm getting
she's getting her shot.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yay.
Did you have the shot yet, Alan?
I did. I had both. I am about 4 days from being fully vaccinated.
Oh, wonderful.
The 2 weeks. My husband just had his second on Tuesday, so he has 2 weeks from then.
Great.
How about you?
I have my first one. I get my second one in 2 weeks.
Great. Did anybody have a bad reaction?
Malaise. That's about it.
Yeah. Knock on wood. So,
Yeah.
hey, it feels good though, doesn't it? Feels like there's a little
much.
light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right.
Yeah, it feels exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you really for being here. Be safe, Michael.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, and thank you. Thank you to all of you for watching. I've seen all the messages today that say happy anniversary. I so appreciate it. A reminder for all of you, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do so right below. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Bye, everybody. See you next week.